President Trump working overtime this holiday weekend to hammer out a deal with Iran, saying there can be no mistakes. Jeff Paul is live in Dubai with the very latest. Jeff, break it down for us.
Well, yeah, and leaders here in the Gulf and throughout the Middle East are hoping that largely negotiated deal that President Trump has referenced is nearly complete. And according to Marco Rubio, they really aren't in any sort of hurry at this time, and they're not going to sign a deal that's bad.
We're still a work in progress. As I said, we thought we might have some news last night. Maybe today. I wouldn't read too much into it. It takes a little while to hear back. So we have what I think is a pretty solid thing on the table in terms of their ability to open up the straits, get the straits open, enter into a very real, significant, time-limited negotiation on the nuclear matters, and hopefully we can pull it off.
Rubio, who's in India right now, was also asked what's the holdup in getting a deal across the line. He says there's things that need to hear back on, and it takes the Iranian system a little longer to respond. So here's where things stand at the moment. The framework is said to be 90 to 95% complete. Iran would reportedly give up its stockpiles of enriched uranium, stop enriching it, help reopen the strait, and agree to a broader regional ceasefire. 60 days would be given to reach a final deal, and Iran is said to get nothing unless it delivers first. In exchange, Iran would get sanction relief, a gradual easing of the U.S. blockade, and broader economic relief and normalization. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian says any negotiations won't compromise the country's dignity and pride.
We are ready for talks. Just as we had raised this issue during the time of our martyred supreme leader, we are now also ready to reassure the world that we are not seeking nuclear weapons. We are not seeking instability in the region.
Now, countries like the UAE were central in pushing President Trump to get back to the negotiating table and to not strike Iran last week. They are hoping this deal can get across the line. Back to you all.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, now bringing in GOP Congressman Brian Mast, who chairs the House Foreign Affairs Committee. He joins us now. Congressman, it's great to see you. It's very important for the administration and for President Trump that this has more enforcement than what we saw with the JCPOA. Walk us through. We don't have the full picture yet, but we do have some details. What do you see as the key differences between enforcement and what differentiates this from what we saw under Obama?
President Trump just being himself differentiates this. He does not do token deals. If he wanted a token deal, he could have done that months ago. He could have done it before the 60 days of combat negotiations that he did, where he eliminated the capability of Ayatollah Khamenei to make any decisions. Why? Because he's dead now. He eliminated their capability to do anything with much of their nuclear stockpile because it's buried under rubble now that the rest of it's going to be dealt with. They don't have a Navy. They don't have an Air Force. We've destroyed their caches, and they don't have a choice on what to do with any of the ports across Iran because President Trump has taken that off the table as well. Nothing is token for the president. And for all of the naysayers out there that I would point to, when he was doing operations, they said he was doing too much. And now that he's in negotiations, they're trying to say that he's not doing enough. The naysayers are never going to be happy with him.
No, that's totally true. But how do we make sure there is enforcement? What would make you happy or appease you on the enforcement angle? Because we know Iran, that's been a hard red line for them, that they don't want to give up their enriched uranium. So what would make this enforceable from your perspective?
I think there's a couple of things when we talk about nuclear enforcement. Part of it goes down to the IAEA and their inspections, but I don't totally trust that as well. I think part of it goes down to the very specific Tier 1 capabilities that we have here in the United States of America with some of our military assets to go out there and do nuclear cleanup, ensure that radioactive materials are not present or are removed. I think it goes to that level for our United States military. And I think the threat that President Trump has shown them that he will close their ports, he will bring ordnance to the ground or beneath their ground if he needs to. All of that is the verification mechanism that says he's going to make sure that above all, no matter what, Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. And to put one other point on that, because their leader was saying they're not seeking a nuclear weapon, here's a point where they are. Even when they're not seeking their own nuclear weapon, they're trying to use nuclear as a weapon. We saw them try to fly drones into nuclear facilities across other places throughout the Gulf. That's using nuclear as a weapon. These kind of things are going to be prevented. They recognize the strength they have in trying to use nuclear as a weapon.
Congressman, I've got to get your take, too. This is Memorial Day today when we honor the fallen. You've sacrificed your legs in pursuit of freedom. Some have sacrificed their lives. What's your message to us today and to the people at home who are watching?
Think about somebody that gave their life. Read their names, whether it was Vietnam or whether it was Iraq, Afghanistan. I'm going to head into my gym here in just a couple minutes with 3 of my kids and do the Murph workout after Michael Murphy. It still touches the lives of everybody that lost somebody. They gave their life in defense of every single American. I can tell you, for me, it is a perpetual day of weeping when I do think about my friends. And, sometimes you just can't. You can't help it because they were so incredible. And I'll leave it at that.
Sorry, you got me crying too. Sorry. Congressman, we appreciate the message. And I know there's so many families at home right now who are feeling the same way you are today, who, they've lost their father, they've lost their husband, and we mourn that loss. Congressman, thank you for sharing those words with us today. You made me cry. I'm sure you made the people at home. God bless you. Thank you. More Fox and Friends on the other side. Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.